Hi everyone, this is Jackie. Please excuse me, I'm doing this while I'm in the car, just because it's been a little bit of a crazy week. I was going to do a video about termination, but I kind of have covered that already. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about just what's going on in New Orleans right now. In a really crazy turn of events, New Orleans has seen some pretty insane flooding in the last week, really comparable to the flooding of Katrina. Not comparable as far as the massive disaster that happened in Katrina, but some of the same neighborhoods flooded in some of the same similar ways. People are displaced once more. Some people I know who have literally just moved back after this 11, 12 years after Katrina. Homeowners insurance is really expensive in New Orleans, as you would imagine, and it never covers flooding, which means that you need to get flooding an extension of your homeowners insurance, and a lot of people can't afford it, which means a lot of people don't have any insurance on their homes. So once all of this damage happens to their homes, they have nowhere to go. So, the Red Cross comes in and FEMA comes in, these bigger organizations that I personally have pretty big problems with. FEMA, the way that they dealt with after Katrina, the stories are pretty horrific as far as when people actually saw money, and also some of the rumors and some of the proof of the corruption that goes on within that organization. I volunteered in about a year ago, a little less than that actually, when there was flooding in Baton Rouge area, and I have volunteered for the Red Cross before, and I found them to be helpful, but a bit disorganized, which is pretty crazy thinking of how long that organization has actually been around. And if you actually look at the budgets for those organizations, the amount of donations that actually go towards overhead is pretty crazy, and what amount of donations actually go towards directly helping communities. Now, then again, it's a huge organization, so people who are running those organizations need to get paid well. I completely understand that. On the other end of the spectrum, there's an organization called All Hands On Volunteers. That's one of my favorite volunteer organizations ever. Really run pretty much primarily by volunteers. They have people who fly in from all over the world into these volunteer projects, and I volunteered with them in Baton Rouge, and I have a friend who volunteered with them in Ecuador, and they're just so well organized. They had, when you really watch the breakdown of their organization, it's really people who are doing that because, it's what they love to do, and they have the opportunity in their life to maybe not make that big of a paycheck. So the man I was working with was a retired contractor, and he was making a bit of money. He said, I made way more of a contract as a contractor, but I'm retired. And now when we go into these natural disasters, it's not just a bunch of college students in their gap year, not knowing what to do, but you have a contractor there who can tell you how to properly gut a house and set it up for someone to come in and do new construction or things like that. So this is kind of some of my, I should say, relationship and history with some of these bigger organizations that come in directly after natural disasters. It's really crazy because after Katrina, I moved to New Orleans after Katrina, and the stories that I heard about the Red Cross and the stories that I heard about FEMA were pretty awful. I mean, their reputation in New Orleans is pretty bad. Very bad. Not even pretty bad, very bad. And so now to kind of see it again happening kind of right under my eyes is really quite alarming. And not only that, but the city promised us that it had properly fixed the drainage system within New Orleans, and that, that would never happen again, ever in the city. Couldn't happen, the flooding in and of itself, because the drainage had properly been fixed. And if you look at some of these photos, the flooding is the exact same in the exact same areas. And this is from rain. This is not from a hurricane. This is from heavy rains, in an area that is, New Orleans is under sea level. It's going to flood. It's always going to flood, or have that much rain, I should say, so that it needs to be set up for flooding. And it's just really unfortunate that the city, in some of the poorest areas, is seeing some of the worst flooding again. And I don't think it's coincidental that it's in the most poorest areas that, these people are once again being misplaced. And it's just really heartbreaking. And, I just really think that New Orleans has failed its people on a lot of levels and continues to do so. And it's just really sad. And I just hope that, you know, our legislators and our representatives really start to stand up for us, and really start to begin to bring attention to the public works and, you know, where the money is really going within our city and how we're really helping people. So anyways, that it's, you know, not my last video. My last video will be next week, but my last kind of regular session video. And I just thought that, I don't know, it was what I kind of needed to talk about, and it's something that's important to me. So anyways, thanks for listening, and I hope everyone is doing well out there.